had a big flashlight in my hand like 3 seconds ago, and now it seems to be gone. I don't know where it went. Anyway, hello and welcome once again to the Masked Fanatic Above Horror Hotel, where we look for, and sometimes find, the best and coolest of old collectible Halloween masks. And, well, nice to see you here again. Thanks for coming. Tonight's mask, look at this. Are you a Star Wars fan? I know I am. You know what they say about Star Wars fans. I don't, but I will assume that you do. Anyway, this, now if you've seen all the Star Wars films right now, you might be thinking to yourself, what? I don't remember that. That's not a Star Wars character. Ah, contraire. It is, sort of. It is a Star Wars character. This is Prince Xizor, and that's spelled X-I-Z-O-R. I kid you not. Now, if you think it's strange that you don't recognize this as a character from one of the Star Wars movies, well, let me just settle that business for you right now. The reason you don't recognize him from the Star Wars movies is because he wasn't in the Star Wars movies. No. And yet, because of a popular novel called Shadows of the Empire, which came out in the 90s, and it took place sometime after the events of Return of the Jedi, after the fall of the Galactic Empire. Because of the popularity of that, Dawn Post Studios actually released a mask of the villain, or the main villain, from the Shadows of the Empire storyline, Prince Xizor. Now, not only does that make it a movie mask from a non-existent movie, the whole Shadows of the Empire thing was kind of strange to me. They all kept calling it, he's shedding a bit, they kept calling it a multimedia event, which is basically a big studio talk for how can we milk this franchise some more without going to the expense of actually producing a new film. And what they came up with was the multimedia event. The strangest part of it, I think, even stranger than the release of this mask and some toys and figures and stuff, I think the strangest thing was that they released a soundtrack to this movie that didn't exist. A soundtrack for Shadows of the Empire. So presumably you could, you know, put your sleep mask over your eyes or something and think about what you'd read in the novelization and listen to the music and imagine there was a movie going on. And then on Halloween, you could go as Prince Xizor from Shadows of the Empire, so that even your Star Wars friends would be like, what? What are you supposed to be? Who's? Yeah. But say what you will about the failure to produce a movie, it was a nice mask, I thought. I like the character design. I like the weird kind of double ponytail thing he had going on in the back here. I liked his spiky, you see that spiky back of the neck? That was cool. And his strange collar thing. I don't know how this shows up on your monitor, but the way he's painted is a dull, monstery green, but with kind of a metallic silver overspray that gives him a little bit of a kind of an oily, greasy, kind of sweaty, strange kind of look, which is cool. He has shiny purple eyes, which are cool. The bad news about this otherwise very nice mask is that a lot of the Dawn Post products from this time, the 90s, tended to rot into goop and just melted away into sticky glopola. And there are several theories as to why that happened. Nobody seems to know for absolutely certain. But this one is starting to do it too. Now, again, he's from 1996, so he's been around a while, but if you look at the collar, you can see it's starting to get a little weird. And you can still find Xizor masks online sometimes. I think he's on eBay pretty regularly with one dealer or another, but you got to be very careful buying one. They still sell for about the same price they sold for in 1996, which is neighborhood of 50 bucks. But you got to be careful buying one, and maybe contact the seller if it's possible beforehand and ask him to take a look at the latex and see if it's still in decent shape. Because if somebody has a box of Xizor masks and they're all crushed flat since 1996, it stands to reason they're not going to look really wonderful when you know, pull them out of the box and unpack them and stuff. But if somebody had one stuffed and stored, you know, carefully, sensibly, safely, you might still find a good one. And even rarer than the mask is the matching set of Xizor hands. And I had a pair of Prince Xizor hands bought in 1996, and as you can guess, they rotted. They simply just deteriorated. I had them stuffed, I had them stored carefully. There was no oils touching them, no fluorescent light, no sunlight, and still they just turned into goop. They just cracked and split and got sticky and died on me. And it's a shame because they were great hands. They had kind of a vague Nosferatu look because they had long plastic green fingernails glued on to the green hands. I think they had 3 fingers if I remember correctly. Let's throw a picture of them up there. Do we have a picture of the Xizor hands? Well, if we do or if we don't. They still had plastic glued on fingernails, which is a nice touch, and then they had sort of a purple gauntlet section around the, from the wrist and on up your arm that you could tuck your sleeve of your costume into when you dressed up as Xizor, the alien that nobody would know except a handful of really die-hard and devoted Star Wars fanatics. But nice mask if you can find one in good shape. Like a lot of these products, I really wish that they had offered a deluxe edition instead of just the standard edition, because I personally would rather pay more for something and have one that's really nice and it's going to last for years and years, and that I can take good care of it and have it for a long time. This guy, yeah, like I said, not so much. Most of them not looking so good these days, but there's still a chance to find one, maybe, possibly, perhaps. You might even find the hands. I don't know. Somebody might have a pair somewhere in perfect mint condition to this day. I don't know of any. But if you're a Star Wars fan, which I'm, you should keep on the lookout for the evil leader of the Black Sun criminal organization, Prince Xizor. No relation to She-Ra, Princess of Power.